Hello everyone. Um, I'm going to be reading the Declaration of Independence because in a few days it will be the 4th of July. By the time this video is out, I hope there'll be 4th of July. So I'm going to read the entire Declaration, all the way the beginning, explaining why they're doing the Declaration, the 27 grievances of the King, and of course the signers' biographies, because it does say biographies on here. Maybe I will not read them, I have no idea. But, by the way, most of this was written by a guy named Benjamin Franklin. Was it Benjamin Franklin? No, it was Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson wrote most of this. He wrote actually triple the amount of this book, but sadly this is all that came out from the convention. So, we're going to read it anyway. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve its political bands which connected them with another, to assume among the powers of the earth separate but equal station which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes on which appeal them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, delivering their just powers from the consent of the governed. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as they shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than the right themselves by abolishing any forms on which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and unscrupulous supplying invariably the same objectives, a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right and their duty to throw off such government, to provide a new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such now the necessary on which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King George of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and unsuppositions, having all direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To provide this, let facts be submitted in a candid world. He has refused his assent to the laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immune and pressing importance unless suspended their own operation till his assent be ordained, and when so suspended, he utterly neglected to attend to them. He refused to pass other laws for a customization of large districts of people, unless these people would relinquish their right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the disparity of the public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representation houses repeatedly, for operating with many firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such distortions, to cause others to be elected, whereof the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining the mean time exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without, conventions within. He has endured to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners and refusing to pass others, encourage their mitigations hither, and raising the conditions of the new appropriation of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tender of their office and the amount of payment for their salaries. He has eroded a multitude of new offices and sent to hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us at times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independent and superior to the civil power. He has combined with all these others subject to the jurisdiction of foreign to our constitution and acknowledged to our laws, giving assent to their acts of prevailed legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial, for punishment for any measures which should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for delivering us in many cases the benefit of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond the seas, being tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, enlarging its boundaries so it render once an example to fit instrument for inducing the same absolute rule for these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing the most valuable laws, and altering the fundamental forms of our government, for suspending our legislators and declaring themselves invested with the power to legislate us in all cases. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, destruction, and tyranny already began with the circumstances of cruelty and portents scarcely parceled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constructed a few fellow citizens to take captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, and to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their heads. He has exercised domestic instructions among us, and has endeavored to bring the inhabitants of our foreigners, the mercenary Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is indistinguishable destruction for all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned a regresses of most humble of terms. Repeated petitions have been answered by only repeated injury. A prince whose charter is thus marked by every act may be defined a tyrant, is unfit to be a ruler of a free people. Nor have we been waiting in the attentions of our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time the attempts by their legislature to extend any unwarranted jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and maturity. We have conjured them with the ties of our common kindred and disavow these superstitions which inevitably interrupt the connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of our justice and of our constitutionality. We therefore request as necessary to denounce our separation and hold them. We hold the rest of mankind enemies in war and in peace friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Assembly, assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world and reputes to all our intentions due, in the name of the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and have the right to ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all alliances to the British Crown and the political connections between them and the state of Great Britain, and is all to be totally dissolved, and that free and independent states they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do what all acts and things which independent states may have the right to do. And for the support of the Declaration, with firm reliance on protection of the divine providence, we mutually pledge each other our lives, our fortunes, our sacred honor. And then it says here the signers. So this is what the signers, it says. The signers. In June of 1776, a committee was commissioned to draft the Declaration of Independence. The committee was consisted of Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, Robert R. Livingston. The draft was made by Jefferson, and after a few verbal alterations, Dr. Franklin and Mr. Adams, it was submitted to the Congress at the 28th of June. On the 1st of July, 9 states voted for independence. On the 4th of July, 13 United Colonies declared themselves free and independent states. John Hancock, the president of the Congress, was the only one to sign it on that day. It was released to the world with his only signature, but on August 2nd, 1776, all but one of the 56 signers put their pens on the parchment. Matthew Thornton, the lone absence, did not sign until November. That is a very cool thing about this declaration. I did not know that. So, yeah. I mean, arguably, I don't know why it's the 4th of July, but I mean, that's technically when we got our independence. But yeah, it's kind of cool, and it's got the people's names and stuff in it. I don't think I got time to read all that crap, or read all this stuff right now. Maybe in another video I will read all this stuff, because it is very interesting to know about these founding fathers. I'm wondering how many of them owned slaves. I think there's about 39 of them owned slaves in this, so I don't know. It's very interesting to me. I would like to learn more about the signers and stuff, but it's a very cool book. I do recommend getting this book. You learn a lot about the Declaration and the signers on it. There's another book where they have the Constitution, the Declaration, the Bill of Rights, everything in one book, which is very nice. And the Articles of Confederation all in one book. But I think I would recommend this book for anybody just wanting to read the Declaration. This is a good book. I do have the Constitution on my shelf. I do have the Abraham Lincoln's Inauguration Proclamation, or whatever it's called. I love to learn about history and stuff. So, learning why we separated from the British, and they kept complaining about how they kept abolishing their legislators and how they kept I think they repeated it like 2 or 3 times about the armies kept in their homes, and it was a mess. But yeah, I'm hoping that you learned something a little bit from the Declaration of Independence, why we had the 27 abuses of the king. I felt like they kept repeating a lot of stuff. It seemed kind of repetitive, but not really. There was also a draft in the Declaration that was very anti-slavery, but they got rid of it for obvious reasons because they didn't want to offend the southern colonies, or southern states, I should say. So yeah. Anyway, I might change my name on my YouTube channel, but until then, I'm not going to change my name. You are someone, I'm someone else. Despite the fact that I have that stupid name, someone else, I might change it, but you are someone, I'm someone else. Goodbye.